Hello, Dan Johnson here at AirVenture 2011, reporting for aircraftreporters.tv. Speaking today with Dale Fox, and Dale Fox is going to introduce one of the gentlemen.
This is Joachim Kreutzer from Comco Ikarus,
located
Germany.
in the south of Germany.
Yes, we are.
I visited the factory. These folks have been in the game for a long time and are, I believe, Germany's largest supplier to flight schools, perhaps, and maybe more than that.
Yes,
is that
we are
correct?
the largest supplier to flight schools in Germany, based on the very good flying characteristics of the airplane.
Excellent. This was available in a C22, I believe, before was the number, and the C42 came along later.
That came along later, yes, in 1999.
And now this is something a little different than that, is it not?
This is the C42E, and the big difference is the fact that it's been upgraded now to 540 kilograms, which is 1,190 pounds here in the U.S.
Okay. What had it been before, just to give us
It
a
had been
comparison?
472 kilograms.
Okay, the European number then.
That is, if my memory is good, it's just a little over 1,000 pounds. Right. Yes.
Yeah, that's with the parachute allocation and so
correct.
forth. So that's quite a growth then, from 472 to 540 kilos.
Indeed. Well, one of the things, like say, we American pilots tend to be...
We like our hamburgers.
Yes, we do. We do. And the cheeseburgers. And don't forget the fries. But meanwhile, yeah, it gives us a little more space between the empty weight and the gross weight, which equals useful load.
Okay, so when you add more weight capability to the airplane, does that mean it got enlarged in any dimensions?
There's no other enlargement of any dimensions. They strengthen some of the structural parts. You don't get...
So mainly some new testing, is that what it was?
Testing,
it said,
yes.
okay, yeah, we can go up to that number, stay within the ASTM safety factors and so forth?
Correct.
Okay,
it went through a complete re-engineering, all of the drop testing and all of the load testing with the weighted bags, calculations. Of course, engineers do all that stuff.
Is this airplane then only going to be limited to the light sport aircraft category, or are you going to be offering also as an experimental ELSA?
No, this is going to stay strictly in the SLSA category, the special light sports.
And fully manufactured. Now, when I look at this airplane, and Dave and I are old ultralight pilots. We go back longer than either one of us care to admit. But I see things on this airplane that make me feel real good, because I like fabric wings of this type of fabric. Most Americans hear of a fabric wing, they instantly think of something like a Cub, which is a dopant fabric and painted process. It's a great way to do airplane coverings, but it adds weight through paint, it adds time and complexity. This stuff looks different. What is this wing surface here?
It's called GT foil. It's a polyester type material. It's very durable, very sturdy. It's easily repaired.
What kind of construction is used in the airplane then?
The hard parts of it.
The basic load carrying structure is a 6.5-inch aluminum tube that basically goes from the very front of the aircraft to the very tail of the aircraft.
But we're not seeing that.
You aren't seeing that. It's covered with a composite. It's a Kevlar composite glass shell, which again is a nice feature, because should you damage this shell, since it's non-structural, you don't have to have the same characteristics on some of the more elaborate composite airplanes.
So this is what's sometimes called sacrificial material then.
It's
not
called
the structure.
Sure. And
if you maybe not right here, but if you actually crack the fuselage, there's no issue with its airworthiness.
Not really, and it can be more easily repaired. It doesn't have to be necessarily a specialized technician. It does need to be somebody that's familiar with composites. But on the other hand, if, say, the lower fuselage shell in the rear were damaged beyond repair, you only have to replace the lower fuselage shell. You don't have to replace an entire structure.
Okay, so I see we're using the 912 engine here that's so common on our class of light sport aircraft. This is the 100 horsepower variety?
This is the 100 horsepower, and I have fallen in love with the Rotax.
The Rotax engine's a solid engine.
They're up to
more and more
2,000
American
RPM.
mechanics are embracing it now. The Rotax people are doing a good job of promoting it, but a lot more mechanics are seeing that with more than 2,000 LSA in the country and 75% of them with Rotax engines, there's business to be had.
Absolutely.
There was a little trick that I saw you use to get in there.
Well, you know, an entry to a high-wing airplane like this with these nice gull-wing doors that are held up by a gas piston, very easy entry. You turn around and you sit down. But there's this knob in the middle here, not the joystick, that's in the actual center of the airplane, but right here is the aircraft throttle. There's one on each side of the aircraft. That's real nice. but it's kind of in your way, and one thing you might not want to knock aside is a throttle before you enter, because then when you start up, maybe you've got it in a position you don't want. This one just flops over to the side, gets completely out of your way without activating the throttle linkage. That's a real nice feature. Bring it back up for flight if you're going to operate it, but if you're just a passenger, you just leave that thing down. This is a nice, comfortable airplane, comfortable seats in it. It feels like it's pretty roomy. Are the doors bowed out here a little bit?
The doors have a bit of a bow to them. It's about 44 inches across.
Okay, 40.
Actual.
Is that measured at the shoulders?
That's inside at the hips.
Okay, at the hips, all right.
Yeah.
So the wide point down here, where unfortunately some Americans are a little wide.
Unfortunately, most of us, yes.
44 inches, that's about 5 inches wider than a Cessna 172, so it's a pretty big airplane.
It's a
It
very
may not
roomy
look big, but it's roomy.
I'll tell you one other nice feature. If you know, some of the folks have ever flown like a Cessna 150, and you're trying to look left and right, you find yourself ducking your head.
You have to lower your head to
Looking
actually
under.
see directly out to the
As you
side.
pull that door down, you'll note.
Oh yeah, I can see straight out to the side here, no problem. I'm not having to lower my head to do that, so it's a much greater visibility than
Much
you find in a
greater.
typical 150.
An excellent safety feature for one thing, especially before making turns. I mean,
Absolutely.
You know,
So, what kind of control systems are you using on that?
Well, we've got rudder pedals on both sides, so covered that way, but we do not have toe brakes, and that's because on the joystick here, which is in the center, either occupant can use it, and it looks like you got enough room here. You can get two hands on there
Actually,
for a
you
flight
can.
instruction situation. You can't see it with your camera, but there's buttons on top to control what look like the trim,
The
push
trim-
to talk, and what else is up there, Dale?
These two are spare buttons. You know, on some aircraft there is aileron trim or something like that. The C42 doesn't use those two buttons. It's a generic.
On the front of this joystick, you see here a bicycle grip lever. That's the brake on this thing. And with another lever right here that I'm guessing, what do I do? Pull that up?
Or push down.
Push down, there we go. Oh, and then it's going to lock into position there. Now you've got a parking brake lock. Very easy, and I'm guessing if I just pull back, that'll snap out.
Indeed.
And it does. So now you're ready to go. So without having to take your concentration off as you land and you need brakes, just pull on it. And I'm guessing that this is a hydraulic system here.
It is.
So it's not dependent on the strength of your hand. Just a nice little tap here, I'm guessing, is going to offer some
Indeed.
nice
Yeah.
pull to it.
So how do you steer it on the ground like that?
Steer it on the ground with rudder pedals, and they're direct linkages, my guess.
Nose wheel steering. yes,
So
sir.
it's the nose wheel. You can probably catch your camera down there now, and they're very easily worked. And the foot position here is quite nice. And that control is right up, along with the joystick being in the center. So is the flap lever, and again the use of a lever here to get your detent positions. And I've got it down now. Let's see.
You've got 15 and 40.
What are the numbers again?
15 and 40.
15
degrees.
and 40 degrees of flap. So 40 degrees is a pretty deep flap setting.
And one other feature that's not totally obvious initially, of course, is you have to take it out of the first detent for your first notch of flaps. You simply control for the second notch.
That's nice.
Now you have to depress the handle, of course,
to get
retract
rid
the
of it.
flaps.
But yeah, I see how it's cut there, so it's got a little smooth cut to it. But I like that feature because a lot of times in headsets you get cords all over the place. They put those right back up here where you can get at them easily and where you can contain the wires so they're not in your way and bothering you.
And what type of restraining system have they got out there?
Well, we got a 4-point system here, so good seat restraints, and they're securely mounted to structure that we can't see behind this nice cloth cover here. But you can see a little bit if you got up here and looked in. You can have another look before flight to make sure that there's nothing amiss or you didn't pick up a squirrel in the back of the airplane or something like that. So we talked a little bit earlier about the joystick, and yes, there is plenty of room here, but you know that might not be comfortable in all situations. So there's an option here. This is easily removed stuff, and you can have another one that has a separate stick to the side so that an instructor can just follow with the student, but the student doesn't have the sensation that you're constantly overriding him. We've got a nice looking panel in here, nice carbon fiber finish to it. We always like to see that nice and bare. This is the Deluxe Panel, I believe,
This is
Dale.
the
isn't
Deluxe
it?
Panel.
Got the Dyna D160. The Dyna is so much a part of the light sport community.
Absolutely.
And we've got, looks like
We've got
ICOM radios in it, and the
Garmin
Flydad
transponder.
Rotax panel here for the engine instruments. So doesn't look like a lot of stuff here, but there's a lot of information available.
You have
But-
heating, also carburetor heat knob and the cabin heat knob. It's here, but the good heating here is, you notice, Dan, if you
Yeah,
pull
I'll
the
pull
door
down
down.
my door here because we got a couple other features.
you've
First
got
of all, that reach is easy. Without moving out of the seat here, I can get that. And you got a nice latching system here that looks like you just turn it forward.
That's
and that grips it way down low here. You may not be able to see that, but it's right at the front where if it's going to pop open, that's where it would happen. Not going to occur on this airplane. And some nice little storage places here for flight maps, for example, in flight, maybe a water bottle. Plus a nice, I think these are Mecca. Is that the brand?
I believe that's correct.
Air inlet, so it looks like you get quite a bit of air in here. But today I got to open the door back up.
Indeed.
It's a hot day here at
One other nice
at
little
AirVenture 2011.
feature of this aircraft is that the doors can be removed. You can fly without the doors.
Ah, you're talking sweet stuff to me.
Now
So
we're
tell me a
talking.
little bit about that. Old open cockpit guy like
It's
me.
once again, it's just a matter of a few bolt here, safety pin in the back, quick disconnects on the gas strut,
So how many minutes?
2 at the most.
On a day like this, I got to tell you, who cares about going real fast? What you want is a lot of airflow, but man, that would give you visibility like you can't believe it.
Absolutely.
So, not
Like
that
I
it's
said.
bad anyway, but it would be even greater that way. So.
Absolutely.
Dale, if we want to get some more information, we've talked about a lot of things here, but there's surely more. And besides, people want to contact you. Give us a web address where they can get more information from.
My website is still under construction. It's going to be aerosportusa.aero, A-E-R-O, instead of the com or the net, but it's aerosportusa.aero. Right now, you can get even more information from Comco Ikarus.de, and their website is very complete. There is a section under there called the configurator where you can actually do like the
Sort of price the airplane out.
exactly
and so
just
forth,
like
huh?
you can with GM and Ford and all those. You can price your airplane out. There's a little more cost to it because of the shipping to us, but and it's in euros, so you have to.
Well, you'll have all that information
Absolutely.
eventually on aerosportusa.aero.
.aero.
And I'll have information, of course, on my site as well with linkages to your site. That's available on buydanjohnson.com or bydanjohnson.com. And this video will be available on aircraftreporters.tv.